Good evening, everybody. Welcome to aidbees. We are back again with another podcast and so excited because it's Pride Month and we have two experts from diversity and inclusion spectrum with us today. We have Kalki Subramaniam. Welcome, Kalki, to the podcast. And we have Harish Iyer. We're really excited to have you both. Welcome, Harish. So before we move on to their introductions, I'd like you to take across what exactly we're going to talk about today. We are talking about something really important, which is called rainbow washing. Now, rainbow washing is a concept that's been recently developed by academicians and also experts. It refers to a surface level and tokenistic marketing and branding exercises and efforts that usually, bigger business bodies or bigger ecosystems of corporate try to do during the Pride Month, specifically during queer-related dates or queer concerns. What they do essentially is that they use queer symbols, they use LGBTQIA plus movement to give off an impression that they're actually supporting the cause of queer theory, or they're supporting pride in general, except for what's the reality on the back end is that it's just tokenistic, possibly like, just for an example, changing your logo during Pride Month, or just distributing Pride t-shirts to your employees during Pride Month. So these things are essentially part of what is called rainbow washing. And today we have two experts from the diversity inclusion field to talk us through and to talk to us about rainbow washing and how to tackle it, right? Firstly, going ahead with Kalki Subramaniam. She's a trans rights activist and she's also the LinkedIn top voices for social impact. She's an artist, author, and a very renowned diversity and inclusion expert. She's also spoken at events at universities like Harvard, Yale, Cornell, and she's also a TEDx speaker. And again, the list of achievements just keep going on. She's also the founder director of this NGO called Sahodari Foundation, which works for trans rights and trans inclusion. Welcome, Kalki. Welcome on board to the podcast.
Thank you, Ashutosh. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
And I'm happy that my friend Harish is also here.
Absolutely. We have Harish Iyer also with us. He's the LinkedIn top voice for diversity and social impact, and he's also an equal rights activist and also a diversity and inclusion head at the Axis Bank. He's a core advisor for LGBTQI plus issues at the National Human Rights Commission, and he's also an author in making. So we're waiting for the book to come out as soon as possible. And he's worked through so many years of experience and so many years of expertise. He's also been a columnist with the Quint earlier. We welcome you, Harish. Welcome on board to the podcast.
My pleasure, my pleasure.
So just kicking off the discussion with the idea of what rainbow washing is and where it stems from. Kalki, would you like to begin us with what exactly is the stemming point of something called rainbow washing?
Rainbow washing, or I would also call it as pink washing, because that's also one of the common terms that is used for companies, organizations that showcase themselves that they are very inclusive and celebrate Pride only during Pride Month. Otherwise, they are not inclusive at all. They have problems with including LGBTQI community people, and they do not follow an inclusive policy, or they don't have any kind of inclusive policy in truly becoming and following what is meant to be. Particularly, if there is a transgender person who is looking for employment in the company, they do not have a policy for that, for sustainability of that employer, as well as there might be not enough sensitization in the company. So, but they showcase themselves as if they support, but they don't take any action. So these organizations, companies, and sometimes even NGOs, they all do rainbow washing. Yeah, also known as pink washing.
Right. So, Harish, what exactly Kalki said, do you think there is a root or there's a stemming point of this culture of pink washing or rainbow washing?
I think it's good that people are aware and people have started speaking about it. But we are not LGBTQIA plus only in the month of June. We are LGBTQIA plus all through the year. Like, I'm not like one of the flowers that blooms only in the month of June. I'm in full bloom all through the year. So it becomes important for companies to recognize that. It becomes important for companies to recognize that we are a strong voice, and the voices of those who are pushed and shoved to the corners are the voices that are loudest. The voice of resistance is always louder than the voice of power, right? And that's something that people need to understand, that if you push us to the corner and if you are not sincere in your efforts, we will call you out and we will pull you down. So that is something that will happen over a period of time, possibly, and we all are watching you. So if your rainbows change only the month of Pride, and if you're not hiring LGBTQI plus people, you're not being steadfast. I'm okay when people come and say that we have made a mistake. It's all right. But if you're not steadfast in your focus of hiring LGBTQI plus people the way they are, if you don't consider us a part of your customer base, which is a huge and loud, one of the loudest customer bases is the LGBTQI plus customer base, then you will come down. We will see your downfall, and we might not start a revolution out there, but there will be a silent revolution that all queer people would start amongst themselves. It will lead to your downfall at some point or the other. So don't use us as pawns to further your growth story. Use us as a co-passenger in your growth story.
Absolutely. That's such an important concern with regards to representation also, because something like Pride Month or something like rainbow washing and pink washing also gives birth to something called tokenistic representation. So Kalki, what's your view on the idea of tackling this tokenistic representation? Like, what would be your solution to something like giving a token for the Pride Month? That, okay, this is yours, this is Pride Month, so that's why it's yours.
I think, as Harish said, our voices, especially those who are marginalized beyond just marginalization, especially those who are used for all these pride programs. Like, of course, many organizations call us to speak during this month, but not necessarily every organization who calls us invites us to speak during Pride Month about diversity, inclusion, equity, and belonging. They need not necessarily be following all that. So many of them do it just for namesake or to show that they are LGBT inclusive. But from our part, as Harish said, we are not silent. We are watching, and we will definitely keep watching and keep shouting and make sure that you hire. And you cannot hide and you cannot run away, or you cannot do this for a long time. Deal with your homophobia and deal with your transphobia and educate yourself as an organization. Come out of all that and be diverse, be an LGBTQI ally, and start following what other organizations follow. Start being normal. That's what I would say.
There isn't a normal because everybody has.
Yeah. Transphobia isn't normal. Homophobia isn't normal.
Absolutely. So Harish, with regards to this tokenistic representation, as we discussed, right? And as Kalki also mentioned about allyship here, it's a very important thing to follow possibly in a corporate. Where do you see the allyship, possibly encouraging or discouraging this tokenistic representation? Where do you keep the importance of allyship?
I think though I really appreciate that many organizations have this allyship, I want to ask people who are not allies, what are you trying to say? That you are homophobic, you're transphobic, then please wear that badge of honor. Say that you're transphobic. It's like saying that, you know what, if there is a decent human being club, okay, if you're not a part of the decent human being club, means you're a scoundrel, right? So if an organization has, say, 1 lakh people, okay, and if there are, say, 50 people in an allies club, what does it mean? That all the other people are not allies? Means, are you a scoundrel? are you a homophobe? Are you a transphobe? It is not just people who participate, but people who don't participate in such programs. They are giving out a message too. When you have people coming out and saying that, you know what, I support them, but I don't want to be a part of this program, means what? I mean, because you're either in it, if the program was about being a decent human being, you're either a decent human being or you're not a decent human being. You know, allyship is the hallmark of decency for any person. So if you're not an ally, means you're a homophobe. There is no in between. There isn't a way to pussyfoot over here. Okay, where you can say that, oh, I'm sometimes an ally and sometimes not an ally. No, you're either an ally or you're a homophobe, or you're a transphobe, or you're a queerphobe. There is nothing in between. So I want to send out a message to everyone who prides themselves at not being an ally. I want them to come out of the closet and put it on their LinkedIn profiles and Facebook profiles that they're homophobes and transphobes and see the difference.
And I think this is also a silent culture of not, associating yourself with the community at large as a culture. That, okay, even
Or
if
they
you're,
would say that I'm not an activistic.
yeah,
What is activistic? I mean, activistic, each one of us who's living, for Kalki and me, living our life is activism, because we get bullied every day. We get trolled every day. We get told that you can't use this restroom. We don't, everyone else can at least pee at peace. We can't even pee at peace. When I'm wearing a sari and I'm going out, I don't know where to sit, whether to go to the women's loo or the men's loo, because there are only two loos. So imagine the kind of this thing. Our survival is our activism. There is no other form of activism that we need to do. And you're talking about not being an activist. That's your privilege if you say that you're not an activist.
So I think this also takes us to a larger discussion. And Kalki, I'd really like your views here on this. In terms of this lack of activism or this lack of allyship and all of these functionary elements with regards to queer politics, it takes us to a larger social ecosystem, right? As to what impact we are bringing on the society at large. So do you think there are some steps, or according to you, could there be any steps at very basic levels? Like, let's say if I'm an individual, I want to help, or I want to, sort of further my help or my concern towards the queer representation. How could I do that in a larger socio-economic system?
I think we, as a human race, we call ourselves so culturally qualified, culturally knowledgeable, culturally educated. But I would say majority of us have issues about the other human being. For example, religion. If someone is other religion, we have stereotypes. We have our own judgments on that. If someone's color is darker, we do have it. A Dalit person, we do have it. So many, many, many things, labels. Likewise, we have, the community, the general public does have their own stereotypes about gay people, transgender people, hijra people, Tirunangai people, and all that as well, queer people. The thing is, each one of us in some way have this conscious and unconscious bias about the other human being. It could be about their body, it could be about their body structure, it could be about their caste, their religion, their skin color, and all that. And it has not just happened to us recently. We have been programmed right from our childhood by our parents, by the media, by cinema, by what we read, what we experience, and what we were educated at school also. So it's not that easy to actually deal with our own bias, whether it's conscious or unconscious bias. But as a cultured human being, it's each and every one person's duty, I would say, that we should push ourselves to be more human as possible. So judging someone, this I wanted to particularly say to everyone who is thinking their transphobic ideas and homophobic ideas on LGBTQI people, that your thoughts about us, that we are certain this way, that queer is a disease or queer is a disorder, being queer is all that mental disorder and all that. Still, a lot of people think as such. I just wanted to say, educate yourself. We aren't that. It's a normal. Being queer is normal. Being transgender is normal. Being gay is normal. What is not normal is hating them, judging them, stereotyping them, being afraid of them. That is not normal. That means you have a problem. You have a problem not just with them, you have a problem with yourself. You have a problem in dealing, in seeing them, you have a problem talking to them. It's your problem, not our problem, the community's problem. So you have to deal with it. Why are you like this? Why do you fear? Why do you hate them? So better get educated, better deal with your problem. And that's what I would say to organizations or to people who misunderstand, misrepresent, those people who are saying or behaving or talking in a very, very phobic way. I would say that they have to change, they have to educate. We can only, as an activist, as an individual person, a queer person can only have our own borders. Even activist people, we have our own borders. But it is someone, an individual, who should take an effort to educate themselves, to be a better human, to be a civilized human, to be a cultured human. Yeah.
Harish, as a D&I trainer, I would like to know your further thoughts on what Kalki just mentioned with regards to telling people in the social ecosystem, with regards to training people in the social ecosystem about issues that relate to queer politics and queer identity. Where do you place the onus of this training and this, teaching or education to people about queer culture and queer theory in general?
I think the onus of inclusion lies on those who are included, not on those who are excluded.
Right.
That's the most basic rule that we need to follow. The basic rule of diversity, equity, and inclusion is that the onus lies on those who are included. Like, for instance, the onus lies on, if you're an organization which has 70% men, whose responsibility is it to ensure that women are protected in that school, in that particular space? It is the onus of men. Is in a space where there are hardly 1 or 2% or less than 1 or 2% LGBTQI plus people, it is the onus of cisgendered people because they are included. There's no question asked, right? So the onus will always fall on them. So one of the things that we need to do when we are framing our policies, our practices, when we are speaking about queer lives, is include queer people in that decision. Include queer people. You have not lived our lives. You will not know what it means to be queer. You will not know about some aspects that we don't want to discuss so openly. Like, for instance, if you're a trans man who is a pre-operated trans man, they would need, if you have a sanitary pad dispensing machine, then a pre-operative trans man should have access to the sanitary pad dispensing machine, right? This is not something that they come and speak openly. That's for you to educate yourself, to understand, and to make those facilities available. If there is a trans woman in a particular space, okay, it becomes important for you to understand that a trans woman, if you're allowing the trans woman, if you have a policy where a trans woman would be using the space on a regular basis, there would be needs. There would be times when she has to use the lipstick. There would be times when she would go to the restroom more often. All these are things that you need to be aware of, educate yourself about, and make those provisions for people. It's very easy to say, I'm an equal opportunities employer. It's just one line that it takes over there. Or it's very easy to put it in your policy that, oh, we don't discriminate against anybody. You don't discriminate against anybody. But at the same time, everything in your policy says he and she. What if Kalki's pronouns are they? What if my pronouns are they? Then it doesn't stand for us at all. And whereas English is a very easy language, you just have to make they, remove he and she, and just make everything they, because as a collective pronoun also, they stands for he and she as well. But we don't do that because every policy will be he, she should adhere with the rules. So they don't have to adhere with the rules. So many a times I think these are small things. I think what we need, what the LGBTQI plus community needs are not grand gestures. We don't want a rainbow tsunami and a rainbow volcano to happen in your office. What we need are small gestures. Allow us the dignity of our name. Okay. Don't refer to us by our dead name. Now, I don't know what Kalki's dead name is. And you don't need to know what Kalki's dead name is. I don't need to know what Kalki's dead name is. Okay. But I do know that Kalki has a dead name. Right? We don't need to know that. So if I'm calling myself Harsha and not Harish, then you bloody well will not call me Harish. You have to call me Harsha. So the whole idea is this education, the responsibility of this education doesn't lie on me. Okay, though I might choose to come and educate. That's my big-heartedness. That's Kalki's big-heartedness, that we are coming out and we are trying to educate people. But every time we educate, we also have to go back to our past and think about a wound that has hurt us while speaking to someone else. So it's not an easy thing for us.
That's
The
very true.
onus will lie on you, not on us.
Kalki, with regards to that's very fairly said, Harish. And with regards to this, a question just pumped up in my head. With regards to the collective identity of them, and with regards to this collective identity gets connected to gender neutrality at large, because we don't think in binaries. We essentially break binaries when we use something like they them, right? What is your thought with regards to the corporate trying to fit in and still not being able to fit in into this gender neutral spectrum? You have to add something to that.
Well, I think that's where they need the advices of experts from the community. Because when you take decisions in being inclusive of the LGBTQI community, you definitely need to include leaders from the community for advice in framing a policy, or if you truly believe in being inclusive, then you need to have consultation with experts. For example, Harish or me or lots of other people as well, who are very experienced in all this, in framing policies, in bringing changes in the company, how to do it step by step and all that. So without that, I've seen companies just telling that they are inclusive and they take decisions by themselves, and then they think they know everything, and then they fail, or they just they do it for namesake only, like same rainbow washing thing. So that doesn't help. The future belongs to the LGBTQI community. The future belongs to non-binary people. The future belongs to the gay and transgender people. Yeah. So we won't be hidden. We won't run away. We will exist, and we exist. So we'll be everywhere, not just on the streets begging, like how trans people today, majority of them have been pushed to it. It'll change. Many are getting educated. Many are actually staying safe in their own families, and it's getting changed. On the corporate note, they must understand that being a gay or having a same-sex relationship is no more a crime in India. Transgender people are legally recognized, and they deserve all equal opportunities in like a shelter, a home, medical benefits, health benefits, education, employment. Again, they need to understand that we deserve opportunities. The LGBTQI community truly deserves opportunities, and they need to recognize that it's not okay. It's not just okay to be queer friendly. It's much more than that. Be a partner. Be a partner to us. Recognize our rights and give us opportunities so that we could be a part of your company and its growth and its productivity. And that's where I think is the future is. So rainbow washing doesn't help. On a long run, it will never help. It will just showcase you that you're friendly, but one day you'll get caught.
Absolutely. Like, because for the major part of it, something like rainbow washing creates stereotypes, right? At the maximum, if you also look at the benefits of rainbow washing like that, the benefit of it is that it creates a stereotype for the larger world about what being a queer person or what being a transgender or a gay or a bisexual person means to you. So, Harish, what do you think this culture of stereotype or superficiality essentially promote? Like, where do you think this takes the queer movement generally when the corporate does something through rainbow washing?
I think normal is the biggest stereotype. If you look at it, if you put all the, because we always say that, oh, act normal, act normal. What is normal? You have defined a stereotype called normal. Whereas when it comes to in the marketplace, when the corporate goes to the marketplace, are they saying that be number 23, be number 24, be number 15? Because everyone who's number 1, 2, and 3 is actually abnormal, right? I mean, they have done something abnormally good that they have reached over there, something that good. They might not be have done, they might have not done very good in human rights, but they've done something good that has pushed them to the number 1 position, right? So we all want extraordinary or extra normal or abnormally good people when it comes to success and growth. In all those parameters, you want everyone to be abnormal, abnormally good, right? But you want people who help you reach that abnormal growth to fit into this box called normal. So who is being stereotypical? The stereotype, biggest stereotype are people who say be normal. And we all need success in our lives, right? And when you box us, like for instance, I'm sure Kalki is an artist. I cannot, so that stereotype holds true for Kalki, that LGBT people are very artistic, right? She'll draw and all that, they say so. I cannot draw one house without in a straight line. Okay,
Exactly.
I'm that gay. Okay, so I can't, but Kalki is. So we all fit into some stereotypes. Some stereotypes we don't. Like for instance, I'm not very motherly when it comes to children. I'm not. They say, no, gay people, LGBT people are very good with children. I don't like children. I like only dogs and cats. Okay. So, but I'll fight for child rights. Okay. But I don't really want to have a child or fight for, I'll fight for the right to adopt also, but I don't want to adopt children and do
So you
this.
don't want to be pregnant, Harish?
I don't want to be pregnant. No maternal feelings. Though there have been many chances that I could have been pregnant, but no, I've not been pregnant.
So, Kalki, furthering this idea or this conversation of stereotypes itself,
Yeah.
do you think that individuals who specifically deal with this transphobia or homophobia at large, they have a larger challenge of actually breaking those stereotypes? Do you place the onus of breaking this stereotype on a queer individual?
Well, I think the owners, especially these stereotypes will be automatically broken when our community, the LGBTQI community, starts to work and show their productivity, show their talent in a company. We don't have to preach them. They'll show by their actions. If given an opportunity, every queer person, if given an opportunity without any discrimination, without being truly equal, with being treated equally, without any discrimination and enjoying the benefits like any other employee in the company, they will definitely show what their worth is when it comes to the work. So I think that opportunity is what we want, that we need work, but it shouldn't be coming with tags like, oh, we are giving an opportunity, so all that is enough for you. Don't ask us more salary because you are a transgender. Nobody gives you work. We give you work. Even though it's a less salary, we still give you work. We are the company that employs you, so accept it. That will not work. That will never work. And that's not equity at all. And we do, as an activist, I'm against it. I'm against such companies organizations as well. A transgender person out of desperate might join, but these type of companies should not will not exist for a long time. They need to learn their lessons.
I agree.
So, and on the other side, I would say that give us opportunities, be truly inclusive and give us opportunities. And that is how you will see the transformation. And that's how you will see the productivity and growth. Ask Harish, what is the benefit of being inclusive in an organization of the LGBT community? Right from productivity and everything will definitely grow. And it's in the research also, it's been proved. It says what are the benefits when an organization is truly inclusive and cares about its LGBT employees. So the growth is tremendous, especially in Fortune 500 companies, it has been. So let us work, especially the community, give us opportunities, but not just opportunities. Make sure that you treat us without any discrimination. You have a long time sustainable LGBTQI inclusive workplace policy, as well as make sure that we are paid equal like any other man or woman for the same job that we do like them.
That's so important also, because as much as it, as much as it is a solution for the corporates or for the companies to be better, it's also a solution for, I think, queer individuals to go ahead with their capabilities and capacities instead of just, fixing themselves into a box of stereotype.
Yeah.
And I think I would like to mention here that one of the most important qualities that we as a world or we as a society need to adopt to here is the aspect of kindness. Right? Is the aspect of being kind towards the other person. And I think inclusivity also, diversity also drives itself from the contextual value of kindness. So I would like to, and this is possibly like we are moving towards the end of this discussion, but I would like to know your thoughts on the inclusion of kindness as an aspect of, as an aspect of an important context for queer individuals. Where do you place kindness in this entire conversation? Harish, will start.
I think kindness, I think queer people need to be kind to themselves first. They, especially organizations that treat them as garbage. Okay. I know that many of us, I'm also speaking from a point of privilege when I'm saying this, because I have the privilege of working somewhere. There are many people who don't have the privilege, okay, who just pick up, like Kalki was saying, they just pick up any job that comes their way because they have to feed their body in the end, that's what they need to do. So many a times, be kind to yourself. I think queer people need to be kind to themselves. Also, corporates need to put a value to the struggles that queer people go through. The reason why a queer person will work doubly hard in an organization than someone else is because they value the job that has been given to them. They know that other people will not treat them as well as this company does. So if you are getting a queer person to work with you and a queer person who has a lot of gratitude to work with you, gratitude as a value is very undervalued in the corporate world. And if you put a value to gratitude, then queer people will be the most paid in any organization. Because the amount of gratitude that queer people have, you'll see queer people. I mean, I'll give you examples. Parmesh Sahni worked for 11 years with Godrej. I know of many people who have been in the same DEI field. They might have jumped organizations, but they've been in the same field, okay, for 10 years, 20 years, okay, because there is value, because they get to be themselves, right? So either they are kind of besotted to the company, or they're besotted to that particular field, but they would not leave that field that easily, because we value people, who are kind to us, and we give back in kindness many folds over, right? Many times over, we give back in kindness. Okay. So we are the best brand custodians for any brand. We are the best demonstration of your brand values if your brand stands for something, right? So I think it's important for us to place kindness and gratitude at the top of everything. And when you place it at the top of everything, I bet you'll find queer people and persons with disability on the top who will not leave your company and who will become brand ambassadors for your company more than any cishet person would.
Right. Kalki, would you like to add your thoughts to kindness and queer politics?
I think kindness is a very big word, and I believe that we as human beings, as a collective society, our lives are based on kindness, kindness to each other, whether it's in work, in business, in politics, or wherever it is, we revolve around that. Without that, I don't think we would be who we are. And particularly in a company, definitely kindness is a word that is evolving, and it should exist truly in every aspect of a company, especially when it comes to diversity. Kindness is, of course, an important part, because when you give opportunities, you don't sympathize LGBTQI community and you give an opportunity. You empathize with them, you're kind to them because they are kind to you as well. You need to understand that we'll be kind to the other humans, so you better be kind to us. So it's more like acknowledging the other person's rights and giving the opportunities, but not as a sympathetic gesture, but understanding their true value and then giving that opportunity so that they can give back to you something very valid that will be useful for your growth, your organization's growth. So I would say that is it. That is what it is all about. This empathy, this understanding, this acknowledgement, this acceptance, that is what is kindness, of course.
Absolutely. So I think on behalf of aidbees also, I would like to mention this, that all of us at aidbees follow this foundational core idea of being kind to each other and being kind and spreading kindness to the world. And I think diversity, inclusion, and acceptance becomes one of the most important aspects of it or parts of it, simply because, again, as what Harish mentioned, is gratitude, as what you mentioned, and empathy. All of these values do come in handy with regards to, queer community and queer individuals in general. So I think we at aidbees also support kindness, diversity, inclusion, and equity as something, as an important aspect. And we also have a lot of NGOs registered with us, working towards inclusivity, working towards rights of queer people and kindness at large. So before we sum this very, very learning and very, very interesting discussion, as D&I experts, as diversity inclusion experts, what is your message to people specifically for the Pride Month? And we'll close that discussion. We'll start with Kalki.
My message is that for our society of our organizations, that educate, keep learning, and you would see the changes, obviously. Learning is something not as an individual, each of us do. Even we learn every day about diversity, inclusion, and all that. How can we contribute to by our consultation services and with our knowledge, change a company to be more inclusive? We constantly learn from each other as well around the world. So for the public and for especially for the young population, I would say that deal with your phobia, deal with your transphobia, deal with your homophobia, educate yourself, not just today. And being an ally is not just for fancy, not for being fashionable, not just to show your support that we support queer people, and it's not a fashionable thing. It should be a humanistic thing. It should be a true thing. It's not just during Pride Month or during a Pride Walk that you do. You do it 365 days a year, and every week, every night, day and night. That is what is truly being an ally is. Being a friend, being a supporter, being a part of the family, being an ally, being a co-worker is not supporting someone just for one time. It's understanding them, accepting them, being kind to them, acknowledging that they are equal like you, respecting them, respecting their dignity, treating them with dignity, and above all, making sure that it's not one time, but it's a continuous thing from you. And it shouldn't be an act. It should be a natural thing from you.
Harish, your closing statement in the same regard.
I think we don't live in an equal world, so we don't need equal opportunity. We need more. You need to compensate for all the years that we have spent in the closet. You are the perpetrator, so you need to give us more so that we can come and build in a world, be in a world which is equal for everybody. So we were here. If we both were on the same line, and then you're giving us equal, then equality was okay. But we are way below you in terms of societal prejudice, in terms of opportunities that are open for us. Yet we have come here. So you need to, and yet we are dealing with a lot of prejudices. So you need to give us more. So equality is the mark of the privileged. We have not reached there. So we need equity, which means that we need more. We also need reparations. We need more, and we need you to value us more so that there could be a day when we could really call ourselves equal.
That's such an important message because I also feel, and I think all of us will agree here, that inclusion has to happen through equity first than equality, because equality again becomes pretty objective in terms of what is equal and what is not. And I think that's where the subjective equity comes into play. And I'm so actually fortunate and so blessed to have had this chance to speak with you guys and discuss these many things, because as a fellow queer person and as a young queer person also, it takes a lot for us to learn things. It takes a lot for us to process things as they're happening historically, socially, economically, or otherwise. And I think people like you who are there as champions of diversity and inclusion, people like you who are there, as the flag bearers of this activism to teach people, that's really, really important and really, really insightful. So thank you very much, both of you. It's been a pleasure talking to you. And to all our audience watching at home, to all the people catching this podcast, thank you so, so much for joining in. We wish you a happy Pride Month. And just a reminder, no rainbow washing, equitable representation. So thank you, both of you, and thank you all for joining.
Thank you, Ashutosh, and happy Pride Month.
Happy Pride. We'll do this after Pride also, huh?
Yes.
Itna rainbow washing bolne